हमें मजबूर किया गया तो हम कल FIR भी दर्ज करवाएंगे, हम केस भी लड़ेंगे, लेकिन उसमें हिंदुस्तान के हजारों लड़कों का रेसलिंग का करियर खत्म होने की कगार पे हो जाएगा।
चाहते कि हमारे ऊपर कोई कल किसी का भी आप लोगों में से किसी का बच्चा रेसलिंग में आए तो वो किसी दबाव में प्रैक्टिस करे, खुल के अपना जो जीवन है, अपनी जो ट्रेनिंग हो कर सके।
जिन लोगों से ये चाहते हैं उनके समक्ष भी बात रखूंगी, चाहे वो प्रधानमंत्री जी हो। हमारी सरकार ने अब तक आप लोगों ने देखा होगा कि उनको बेहतर घंटे का टाइम भी दे दिया है जवाब देने के लिए। कुछ भी होने से पहले एक खिलाड़ी हूँ, आज मैं कोशिश करूंगी कि इनकी समस्या का मैं समाधान जरूर निकलवा दूं।
यही कहूंगा, खिलाड़ियों ने जो आरोप लगाए वो गंभीर किस्म के हैं और उसका संज्ञान लेते हुए भारत सरकार ने, खेल मंत्रालय ने तुरंत कार्रवाई करते हुए रेसलिंग फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडिया को नोटिस भी दिया, 72 घंटे के अंदर जवाब भी मांगा है।
Hello everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. India's most decorated wrestlers, including Bajrang, Punia, Vinesh Phogat and Sakshi, Malik, continue their protest against Wrestling Federation President Bajrang Sharan Singh in the national capital. They have accused WFI President of corruption, sexual harassment, torture and exploitation. They claim the WFI has encouraged a culture of sexual exploitation of female wrestlers, adding that they have received death threats for raising concerns. Today, they have said that over 5 female wrestlers have come forward with allegations demanding the WFI president step down for a free and fair probe. That's not too much to ask. The athletes also met the sports secretary today to highlight their demands. But after the meeting, they said they haven't received any satisfactory response from the government and if needed, they will approach the police. The WFI chief refuted the allegations, saying he will not resign and is ready for any probe. He accused the protesting wrestlers of ignoring their duties, calling their charges a conspiracy, adding that the protesters represent just 3% of India's wrestlers. Taking cognizance of the allegations, the Sports Ministry has sought an explanation from the Wrestling Federation in 3 days, adding that failure to comply will lead to strict action. Meanwhile, Sports Minister Anurag Thakur will meet the wrestlers shortly. These athletes are icons of Indian sports and clearly have been pushed to the limit, which has driven them to protest on the streets demanding justice. Is it time for an immediate probe into these charges? And isn't it incumbent on the WFI president to step down pending an investigation? The eyes of the entire nation and especially the youth who aim to represent India on the world stage are on this protest. The big question is, when will these wrestlers get justice?
For the second straight day, India's most decorated wrestlers landed up at Delhi's Jantar Mantar to protest against Wrestling Federation Chief Bajrang Sharan Singh.
इसमें कोई भी पॉलिटिक्स ना घुसाए।
हम यहाँ पे खड़े हैं और किसी से डरने की जरूरत नहीं है, हम सब साथ में हैं।
They are demanding action against Singh and several coaches for allegedly sexually harassing and mentally torturing female wrestlers over the years.
दुख की बात है कि पहलवानों को मैच छोड़ के, अपनी ट्रेनिंग छोड़ के यहाँ पे आना पड़ रहा है। हमारे साथ इतना कुछ हुआ है सीनियर में आने के बाद, तो जो सीनियर के हमारे जो पहलवान हैं जिन्होंने आवाज उठाई है, उनके साथ पिछले 8-10 साल में कितना कुछ हुआ होगा, आप वो सोच सकते हैं।
हम चाहते हैं कुश्ती एक नए जीवन को।
Tokyo Olympics bronze medalist Bajrang Punia accused Singh of running the federation like a dictator.
नहीं चाहते कि हमारे ऊपर कोई कल किसी का भी आप लोगों में से किसी का बच्चा रेसलिंग में आए तो वो किसी दबाव में प्रैक्टिस करे, खुल के अपना जो जीवन है, अपनी जो ट्रेनिंग हो कर सके।
Fellow wrestler Vinesh Phogat came on behalf of the government and assured support to the wrestlers.
मैंने कहा है, मैंने कह दिया है, जो भी खिलाड़ी चाहते हैं कोशिश करेंगे वैसा।
मैम, क्योंकि एक ही डिमांड है खिलाड़ियों की, मैम आप भी खिलाड़ी हैं और बड़े गंभीर आरोप लगे हैं बृजभूषण जी पे और आप सरकार की तरफ से
लगे हैं तो उसके ऊपर एक्शन भी लिया गया है, ऐसा नहीं कि एक्शन नहीं लिया गया है।
Soon after, the sports ministry summoned the protesting wrestlers for a meeting.
इस्तीफा तो हम उनका लेके ही रहेंगे।
इस्तीफा
अगर हमें और ज्यादा उकसाया गया तो हम उनको जेल में भी डलवाएंगे। हम चाहते हैं कि उनका इस्तीफा लीजिए और उन पे कार्रवाई की जाए। अगर वो 2 मिनट मेरे सामने बैठ जाएं तो मैं हिंदुस्तान की हर जनता को चैलेंज करती हूँ, उनको मेरे सामने 2 मिनट बिठा दीजिए और वो आंखों में आंखें डाल के बोल दीजिए कि हमने कुछ गलत नहीं किया है।
But the man in the center of the storm, Brijbhushan Sharan Singh, remains defiant.
कोई बिजनेसमैन खुल करके नहीं आया है, लेकिन साजिश है। ये साजिश के तहत हुआ है क्योंकि 1 सप्ताह पहले तक इसी कमरे में बजरंग पूनिया बैठते थे। 1 सप्ताह पहले साक्षी मलिक यहाँ बैठी थी। 10-15 दिन पहले विनेश अपने पति के साथ बैठे थे। आज 10 दिन पहले, 7 दिन पहले कोई आरोप नहीं था। हमसे उनको कोई शिकायत नहीं थी। ये 1 हफ्ते के अंदर उनको शिकायत पैदा हुई, तो ये बिना कॉन्स्पिरेसी के नहीं है।
Singh has been ruling the roost at the WFI for the last decade. But for how long can he remain unscathed?
And now Indian Olympic Association Chief PT Usha has reacted. She has said, and I'm quoting her, "The welfare and well-being of athletes is the topmost priority of the IOA. We request athletes to come forward and voice their concerns with us. We will ensure a complete investigation to ensure justice. We have also decided to form a special committee to deal with such situations that may arise in the future for swifter action." So now a lot of reactions that is coming in, and today the government will be meeting these protesting athletes for the 2nd time. These are visuals that are coming straight from Sports Minister Anurag Thakur's home, where protesting athletes, wrestlers have started arriving for that meeting with the Sports Minister. Yash Goyal is joining me live. Yash, so are these athletes hopeful that there will be a solution tonight itself?
Well, absolutely, Maria, and that's the reason this meeting has been called by the sports minister himself, because we have seen how there were earlier meetings which were held today in the sports ministry, where all these top athletes went to meet the officials from sports ministry. And in fact, after they addressed that particular press conference in which they stated that they're still not satisfied with what they've been told. So all the wrestlers, including all the top wrestlers, including Sakshi, Malik, Vinesh Phogat, Bajrang, Punia, all have actually reached Union Minister Anurag Thakur's residence. And in fact, all eyes will be on this very particular meet, because till now we have not seen a breakthrough in this entire matter. And in fact, we have only seen anger of wrestlers only mounting to a different level. And in fact, today they yet again maintained that they will continue their protest in the national capital, though they have left the site today, but tomorrow morning they will yet again they will reach there. But if today's meeting turned out to be a constructive one, we could see that all these wrestlers could be pacified, and in fact there could be some sort of resolution in this entire situation. But as of now, the update is all the top wrestlers have reached Anurag Thakur's residence, which is 22 Akbar Road. And in fact, this meeting is going on, and in fact this meet will only conclude, and a lot of unanswered questions will be answered today, in fact, here in the national capital.
But Yash, what exactly is the solution that they are looking at? Are they looking at just the resignation of WFI chief, or is there an inquiry? Because the sports ministry has indicated that there will be a panel of 3 that will be set up, in which there will be 2 women like representatives.
Well, Maria, as per this information, what we can understand that the ministry has taken this matter very seriously, and in fact, the players have been saying the same thing. In fact, today when they addressed that particular press conference, they stated that they don't only want resignation of this particular man, they also want this entire ecosystem to be actually rectified, and in fact, they want a dissolution of this particular federation. So we are looking at something very larger than just a resignation of Brijbhushan Sharan Singh. So the minister himself has called all the athletes here in the national capital at his residence. In fact, he was not in Delhi when he indicated about this very meet, and now this meeting is on. And in fact, we could also see some reactions from these wrestlers when they leave this particular residence of Anurag Thakur, and then we could understand the entire situation, what happened in that particular meet.
And we will continue to run those visuals. Those are visuals coming in from Sports Minister Anurag Thakur's residence. And let me bring in my guests as That meeting begins at the Sports Minister's residence. Sudhanshu Mittal, former Vice President of Indian Olympic Association, is joining me live. Sunita Godara is ex-Asian marathon champion. We also have Shagun Chaudhary, Olympic shooter and Asian game medalist. Radhika Khera is the spokesperson of the Congress. Shagun, what could be a possible solution of this crisis?
To start off with, I think every federation needs to have like an athletes committee where they can actually go and talk about their grievances in order to have like a sounding board in terms of if there is an issue, which I feel what I've read about the Wrestling Federation, I don't think that exists. And that was the basic, that's a big red flag.
So they do not have a sexual harassment cell?
Absolutely.
And none of these federations have?
Federations have, but I'm not too sure whether the Wrestling Federation has or not. I know for a fact that the NRAI does have, the National Rifle Association of India, where we can go and talk about our problems to an athletes committee so that it can be discussed. And I also feel it's very important to hear both sides. And being a girl, I also understand that it takes a lot of courage to actually go out there. Something must have gone like really wrong.
Yes.
In order for all these women to actually come out there that they've been sexually harassed for so many years or whatever. But I think there has to be a fair trial in terms of, and if there's truth through the matter, then it will come out eventually.
Yes,
but
and Shagun,
to start off with, I think every federation.
Would you agree that pending inquiry, Brij Bhushan must resign? Then only can there be a free and fair probe. For all that he has been saying in his defense, none of that really holds.
See, resignations, he'll resign, somebody else will come in. The idea is how to find a solution to this, right? It boils down to not a person, but the system.
Yes.
So how do we rectify the system? By getting a resignation from a person, I don't feel that will rectify the system. You have to get to the core and see how do people kind of like guard themselves from being exploited, if they have been, from certain situations by being able to voice their opinions and not, by voicing their opinions within the federation where they are heard. Apparently, in this entire situation, they have not been heard. And that is why they had to sit at Jantar Mantar and they had to protest in this way. So that is my cause for concern, that if there are and the women wrestlers are doing like brilliantly well, we have Olympic medalists and all of that, why isn't there a committee where if there are grievances, why aren't they heard?
Okay, so Sudhanshu Mittal, as former Vice President of Indian Olympic Association, why aren't there these committees which should have been there? I mean, what is grievance redressal that the Olympic Association is really offering there?
First and foremost, there has been a complete new constitution of the Indian Olympic Association, which now mandates an athletic commission, and the formulation of that is in place today. So now there is an athletic commission of the Indian Olympic Association, and all the other federations which are affiliated with it are today mandated to have one. So that shall follow. But let's look at this case specifically. It's a very, very serious allegation and very serious case. And I would not like it to be trivialized in terms of being populist about it. There are two aspects to it. One is the conduct of Mr. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh in terms of sexual exploitation. Now, somebody must come forward. See, sexual exploitation cannot be discussed in generalities. Yeah. There is a system. No, somebody has to say, I have been sexually harassed. This is the incident. And the committees, you see, criminality is not to be dealt by committees. The investigating agencies and the prosecuting agencies have to do that.
So it has to be about police action. So they should register an
FIR. Why I'm saying this, I heard the statement. If we are compelled, then we shall know. You are making such a serious allegation. And you are saying not one person, but five women. So these women, and today, their identity shall not be revealed. That's a lot today.
Yes.
So that should have happened. But for the last 2 days, a lot of talk has gone on, but that has not happened. Maria, I just want to sound one word of caution. Let there not be a class bias while we look at it. You see, there is a general perception, poor players, bad administrators. But there could be a lot of things which go behind the so-called poor players also.
No, but why this
In terms of
class
the
bias? I mean, what is really this point? But Sudhanshu Mittal, will you not agree? Will you not agree with me when I say that it takes a lot of courage for women to come out and speak about it? They must have had no option. If you have a bronze medalist, gold medalist, these are men and women who have brought laurel to the country, and men are standing with these women. So there must be something horribly wrong. There's corruption. There's allegation of sexual harassment, exploitation.
Maria, you've seen the film called Chak De India, and a lot of lessons have to be learned from that film also, because it's not all white and all black. We must deal with this issue on the merit of the issue, and that will follow only when specifics are outlined. Unfortunate part of it is all allegations are of a very general nature. There's nothing specific which is being said.
So shouldn't that be a subject of investigation? Sudhanshu Mittal, let the investigations begin. My question is simple.
Sure.
First, let it be generic. I mean, for the players to go to Jantar Mantar and instead of practicing, they have reached there. That takes, imagine their state of mind, sir. There has to be a great degree of sympathy, empathy.
Please understand, these are not the players which are in the ranking, the highest players today. That's the problem also. Please, I am sounding a word of caution. This might become a tool tomorrow. I mean, let us look at the merit of this. Issue is, you make specific complaints. You say, I have been sexually harassed. You say, look, I heard two...
No, but why should women... No. Why shouldn't it be seen that when Vinesh Phogat says that she has evidence that if anything, she'll be producing at the right moment, we should go with a version.
What is right moment?
Why? No. Why should we even look at the logic of conspiracy theories that has been given by this gentleman called Braj Bhushan, who's hardly a gentleman? He should resign. I mean, he is talking about some kind of conspiracy, talking about 3% wrestlers protesting, rest of the wrestlers are with him. I mean, who are they? Radhika, please.
I'm going
to come back to you, because the arguments are, I understand you have a ringside view. That is the reason why, but we find that entire argument very, very problematic. Sudhanshu Mittal.
You will give me just 1 minute. And I will illustrate two cases. Just give me 1 minute. I will just illustrate 2 points, and then let's see. I heard there were two allegations which were made. One allegation was that Tata Group had sponsored the team and the money was not given to the players. I have dealt with sponsorships. I run a federation which today has become a internationally acclaimed game, Kho-Kho. See, when team sponsorships are there, the sponsorships are for the development of the team and not individual players. So you have sponsorship for the training camps, you have sponsorship for their travel, you have sponsorship for a lot of things. Now, to expect that money to go to players may not be a fair proposition. Secondly, major allegation was the person was living in the rooms where the players were also living, and the doors are open. Put this tent. In fact, I got players who complimented, saying that the sports administrators like to be living in 5 stars.
Mittal, aren't you not trivializing their concerns by saying that they are not aware of what this sponsorship money is for? These are athletes who understand whether that money is coming only for them or it is coming for the entire team. Yes, Radhika Khera, respond please.
Let's have Sudhanshu
Mittal and Radhika now.
It's really appalling what Mr. Mittal said, that we have to learn from some movies. I'm sorry, we don't need to learn from movies, and the government has to learn basic humanity. And this is not happening for the first time. It's hardly been a month when we saw that entire case of Sandeep Singh happening. Has that minister stepped down? He is still a minister. He has only resigned from one particular portfolio. I do not understand a simple thing. If there is such a big allegation, our sports persons are sitting at Jantar Mantar, and these are the people who have won laurels for the country. These are the people who the Prime Minister went out and clicked photographs with. The government is the first to take credit for every time they bring a medal for the country. But at this time, where is the Prime Minister? Is he busy feeding his peacocks? Is he busy in his dhol nagade bajana in Karnataka? Isn't this something which is of very major importance for the country? You just have all these lines, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao from Haryana. That minister is still there. There's such a huge thing that is happening from Jantar Mantar. It is our sportsmen, our sportswomen, our everybody is sitting over there. You don't trust those people. They are the ones who have won laurels for our country. It's very sad that they have to sit out like that. I mean, why are they not taking the resignation of that man? He should immediately resign. And if he is not found guilty, everything can be given back to him.
Extremely, disturbing. No, Sudhanshu Mittal, today I would be standing with these athletes, and I'll be standing particularly with women wrestlers. This is, if anything, if it is about their justice, then justice should be seen to be delivered. And all of you who have been in some way, no sir, all of you who have been some way association with Indian Olympic Association cannot appear to be sympathetic towards this Brij Bhushan. Yes,
we are
Sunita
not at all.
Okay, let me speak now. Let me speak now.
Can I just complete in 10 seconds?
I am talking about the sports code.
Yes.
They should go and just dig out 85, 86, 87 page number where they have their own sports code rule that if any federation does not have sexual harassment committee, then the sports ministry has all powers to de-recognize the federation. Now that
why doesn't this
now
federation
the champions
have
are going to.
That is good enough reason for for the sacking of Brij Bhushan.
So it's so simple, they didn't follow the rules. Just debar the federation. It's so simple. It is on.
I don't think Budharaji even knows the rules. Budharaji, do you know that the Supreme Court has just formulated
the rules very well.
Allow me to speak. The Indian Olympic Association Constitution has just been made by the Supreme Court.
You just said that you have ethics committee today.
You have no idea.
So don't all the time.
Please don't speak if you do not know.
Where is your sexual harassment committee? Where is your sexual harassment committee? Where is the sexual harassment committee of the sports ministry? What are you talking?
Miss Godara, please understand. You are making allegations which are not even substantiated. And secondly, Indian Olympic Association Constitution has just been made, and that Constitution is now being followed, and that has been made by the Supreme Court. It is not being made by any politician or anybody. So what does that say has to be followed?
For the girls of this country.
Sympathy has to be for truth.
This is sexual
harassment
allegation.
And somebody must come and forward.
You should have sexual harassment committee, which is the rule of a sports ministry. Which is the rule of a sports ministry. I'm not talking from my side,
There has to be. Why are we not talking about a specific allegation?
It's a sports code. You
Why
have to
should
follow
there be a specific allegation?
It's a sports ministry code. What are you talking?
You have no idea. You have no idea.
The sports ministry.
The Indian Olympic Association Constitution says anything which is contrary in the sports code shall not supersede the provisions of the Indian Olympic Association. So please read the Constitution before talking. You have no idea. I'm not getting into this trivial issue. My thing is, there should be a complaint which should be made. I am matter. And in this serious matter, a formal complaint must be made so that the truth can come out.
You're not
interested in the truth. I am saying sexual harassment must be investigated. And you can only investigate if a truth, if a complaint is been made.
Sexual harassment rule and regulations.
But somebody has to come forward and say.
You can debar the federation. It is your power. It is under your provocation.
You have no idea what you're talking.
It is under your jurisdiction. It is under your. I'm sitting here as a spokesperson. I know what happened in the drug abuse. I know what happened in the drug abuse case, PIL in High Court. Still, NADA has the seal envelope where there are
I want to understand from you, Sunita Godara, as a champion yourself. For these, first, that this particular federation doesn't have a sexual harassment committee, which is a must. So it should have been recognized by now, which hasn't been done. My question then to you is, ma'am, do you think there is something horribly wrong in the sense that is there a lot of exploitation that athletes have to undergo? And these men who are in position of authority actually misuse their position.
See, what happens? Two types of harassment. First thing, mental harassment. For those, they are champions, they are vocal, they raise voice, they are mentally harassed in the federations. It is a true story of all federations. And there are few athletes, those who are young, they have come for Olympic dream, for a national dream or whatever, they are in the national camp. They are from the very humble background. They are very poor. They can't afford that much. Ministry, the government is giving so much to the federation for the national camp, so much money, financial support, which these athletes need. So they keep quiet. They can't raise their voice. So they are exploited. Young girls are exploited. You know, those who can't speak out. And now these young girls, those who are exploited, maybe for years, they look for some support, some kind of elite or senior athletes where they can share their problems, you know. And in wrestling federation,
so are you hopeful then PT Usha would ensure course correction here?
Where is PT Usha? What is she doing? If there is no sexual harassment committee, she should come out and announce as a chief of IOA that we debar this federation. She has all these powers. Where is she? Talking will not do anything. Action.
Yes, so great degree of disappointment certainly. Great degree of disappointment certainly. Shagun, you know the point being made here, these are girls who are young. They come from small towns and villages of India. They have, you know, they have a hope in their eyes. They are hoping that they would be able to capture the world. And then they face this kind of exploitation and harassment. There is everything going horribly wrong here as far as this particular federation is concerned. First, it doesn't have a sexual harassment committee. And then you have the president of this federation talking about a larger conspiracy. Do you think the point being made by Sudhanshu Mittal of they perhaps not understanding that this money comes for the entire federation or the entire team, and they should be understanding what is for them and what is for the entire team?
I want to I am the board member of sexual harassment committee, so I know the rules of sexual harassment committee. I am with the police department as sexual harassment committee board member.
Yes, okay. Shagun.
I'm not on the board member of any sexual harassment committee. No, one second.
Yes.
Yeah. All I feel is that there has to be a fair trial in every case, right? So both parties have to be heard. And in that case, like what I said earlier, I stick by that I think every federation, like the national, like I'm a shooter, the NRAI does have an athletes committee where we can go and we can, if we have any grievances, we can speak to a committee member and it will be addressed. So I think all federations need to have that. And as far as sexual harassment for girls or whatever, whichever I mean, you know, it doesn't matter about the background. It is basically sexual harassment at the core of being sexually harassed. It can be any woman, anywhere.
Yes.
So we are all affected the same way.
Yes.
The idea is for us to have somebody to speak to. And if you don't have that, then that is where the first red flag is. You need to have somebody to go and talk about if you've experienced something without the whole conspiracy about or being fearful of not being taken off the team or being taken off camps or something. There has to be something like purely black and white, where you can be absolutely fearless and talk about if you've had an experience to a committee and they'll take it up. So what I feel is like it is harsh in both ways. Yes, I'm being a girl, again, I'm saying it takes a lot of courage to actually go out there and say that you've been through.
In fact, just stay with us and hold on to your thoughts. We have a wrestler joining us. Pawan Saroha is joining us now. Pawan, मुझे ये बताएं कि ये हम देख रहे हैं कि अभी मीटिंग चल रही है स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्टर के साथ. क्या आपको लगता है रेजिग्नेशन के बाद ही ये सारे प्रोटेस्ट खत्म होंगे?
देखिए, अभी बजरंग विनेश ने बोला है कि जब तक हमें लिखित में कोई चीज़ नहीं मिलती है और जब तक वो बर्खास्त नहीं करते हैं, यही नहीं कि यही फेडरेशन, हर स्टेट की जो फेडरेशन है वो जब तक वहाँ से जितने भी उनके लोग हैं, जितनी भी उनकी टीम है, वो नहीं हटेगी जब तक हम इस धरने से उठने वाले नहीं.
ब्रिजभूषण ने कहा है कि आप लोग नेशनल लेवल पर नहीं खेलना चाहते हैं, आप लोग डायरेक्टली ओलंपिक्स में खेलना चाहते हैं. इसमें क्या सच्चाई है और किस तरह का यूजुअली ये इतना डिफरेंस क्यों बताया जा रहा है, ये इतना इशू बनता क्यों जा रहा है?
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। हर प्लेयर नेशनल खेल के इंडिया कैंप में जाता है। जब भी अभी ये ओलंपिक मेडल तक पहुंचे हैं, ऐसा नहीं कि भी नेशनल नहीं खेला। हर प्लेयर ने हर नेशनल में खुद 6-7 बार का नेशनल गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट हूँ, और हर प्लेयर नेशनल खेल के कैंप में जाता है और ट्रायल देता है। और ये जितने भी अभी जो इल्जाम लगाए जा रहे हैं कि भी नेशनल नहीं खेलना चाहते, ओलंपिक मेडलिस्ट हैं, इनको थोड़ा तो क्राइटेरिया होना चाहिए जो कि इनको कैंप में शामिल करना चाहिए, क्योंकि इतने दिन से प्रैक्टिस करने में, वजन घटाने में जो दिक्कत होती है, तो इनके लिए इतनी तो वो होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि ये भी निचले स्तर से आए, ये भी जूनियर कैडेट थे, ये भी सीनियर में भी एकदम से तो थोड़ी आगे मेहनत करके ही आए हैं।
पवन, ये साल रेसलिंग के लिए बहुत ही अहम है, क्योंकि एशियन गेम्स हैं, कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स हैं, फिर चैंपियनशिप, वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप भी है। सो प्रोटेस्ट ऐसे साल में हो रहा है, कितना नुकसान होगा?
देखिए, ये यहाँ पे जितने भी बैठे ना, जितने भी पहलवान, ये हमारे देश की करीम है, और ये मानो कि ओलंपिक पे भी और जो एशियन गेम्स उस पर पूरा असर पड़ेगा। मैं तो सरकार से विनती करता हूँ, हम प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी से, इसका जल्दी से जल्दी समाधान किया जाए, और ये समाधान अगर जितना लेट होगा उतना ही हमारे खिलाड़ियों के लिए नुकसान होगा।
हाँ, सो फेडरेशन भंग करने की बात चल रही है। सो अगर ये फेडरेशन भंग हो जाएगा या डिसॉल्व हो जाएगा, तो फेडरेशन चलाएगा कौन?
देखिए, वो सरकार का काम है कि अगला वो किसको ये मतलब ये पद देते हैं, वो कौन चलाता है, या साई को देते हैं, या सरकार अपने अंडर में लेती है, जो भी वो उनकी प्रावधान, लेकिन हमें ये फेडरेशन नहीं चाहिए।
Okay, Sunita, thank you so much for your time. Sunita, I want to understand from you. Here is a wrestler, protesting wrestler, who says that this entire federation should be dissolved. Do you think that is the way forward? Because if they do not have faith in all those who are ruling this or governing this federation, then that mistrust or distrust that is there will only escalate because of the situation that it is in presently.
See, as per rule also, they now this federation should be debarred, de-recognized, as per the sports code rule. Okay. Secondly, you see, they are not only Olympic medalists there at Jantar Mantar. I was in the morning there, you know, and I saw many national level athletes, young athletes. If this federation is not punished, whatever they are doing for that, they are violating rules. So the simple sports code is just de-recognize the federation. If they don't do it, then you know what will happen? All these national level athletes, I'm not talking of these Olympic medalists, I'm talking of those young cream which was there, you know, they will all be finished. The career of these young athletes will finish, because what federation do? If you raise voice, we will just ban you, finish you.
Scuttle those protests. We certainly hope that there is justice here and that there is no conspiracy that is looked into. Sudhanshu Mittal, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Sunita Shagun and Radhika Khera. Shifting focus to debate 2. In a first, the Supreme Court has made public the objections of the central government to the elevation of 5 advocates to the post of judges. The top court uploaded the letters to the centre, publicly refuting its objections, even criticizing the Justice Department for repeatedly sending back the Collegium's recommendations. In an unprecedented development in the government versus Collegium war, the top court has countered all the government's contentions over the statements, social media posts and even the sexual orientation of the candidates in public. This comes days after Law Minister Kiren Rijiju wrote a letter to Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, to suggest a nominee of the Union government in the Supreme Court Collegium and a state representative in each of the High Court collegiums. This also comes after Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar said the judiciary should know its limits, which the opposition called an extraordinary attack. As the centre continues its campaign to reform the collegium system, appointments to key judicial posts seem to be caught in limbo. So let me take you through the impasse between the Supreme Court and the centre, or the government of the centre. First, there is Advocate Saurav Kirpal. He has been recommended to the Delhi High Court. The government's contention is that Kirpal's partner is a Swiss national. The collegium's counter is that many spouses of constitutional office holders are foreign nationals, and the country of origin is a friendly country, and hence this argument doesn't really hold. The government's contention also in case of Kirpal is that he is open about his sexual orientation. The collegium's counter is that citizens are entitled to maintain their dignity and individuality, and the advocate has not been superstitious about his orientation, and he will provide inclusion and diversity to the bench, and rightly so. Then there is another advocate, Somasekhar Sundaresan. He has been recommended to the Bombay High Court. The government's reservation on him is that he shares his views on social and traditional media. The collegium's counter is that all citizens have the right to free speech and expression, and the gentleman here is a man of competence and merit. Then there is another advocate, R. John Satyan. He has been recommended to the Madras High Court. The government's contention is that he shared an article critical of Prime Minister Modi and shared an article on a NEET-linked suicide, calling it a political betrayal. The collegium's counter is that the IB report notes he has no overt political leanings, adding that sharing articles does not impinge on suitability, character and integrity. Then there are advocates Amitesh Banerjee and Sakya Sen, recommended to the Calcutta High Court. The government's contention is that IB inputs cite the candidates as unsuitable. The recommendation were sent back to the collegium 3 times. The collegium's counter is that inputs have no fresh material or ground to deny appointment, adding that it is not open to the Justice Department repeatedly sending back proposals. This is clearly that the judiciary and the government is on collision course. So what does it mean now for the appointment of judges? Joining me on the show, Mrinalini Deshmukh is a Supreme Court advocate, Abha Singh, lawyer and activist. We also have Rekha Agarwal, Supreme Court advocate, and Shashank Shekhar Jha, also a lawyer. Shashank, the delay in Kirpal's recommendation has over the years garnered criticism in legal circles, with many speculating that it was due to his sexual orientation, and now it has become clear that it was indeed that is the reason. The government also repeatedly objected his elevation, claiming that there is conflict of interest as his partner is European and works with the Swiss embassy. So the truth is now out. And will it now be seen that this government opposition to these lawyers is just about biases?
Namaste Maria ji and every other fellow panelists. Maria ji, I do not for that point think that the government objection against any senior lawyer recommendation to High Court or Supreme Court is based on one fact or other, and that is why while Supreme Court today has gave a clear big justification as to why they are re-recommending someone's name, they have also give the reason why they are choosing for the same. But the fact is that we still are unaware of the fact that what were the exact recommendations or objections of raw of that word IB. So to say that government had certain reservations based on a certain fact, and now there is a clarification by Supreme Court, will not do justice in this. And the point number 2 is that the main matter of concern here is Advocate Kirpal. Now Advocate Kirpal is the concern because he is the son of a retired CGI himself. So the point of nepotism and recommendation among families of the judges of Supreme Court.
Then that should have been specified in the reservation that the government had. Mrinalini, come in on this. Whether it's about nepotism, that has been the larger point that has been made by the government, that they are hoping for transparency in the entire appointment system. But if we look at what will be seen as an unprecedented move, with all the objections now out in the public domain, would you say that this is embarrassing for the government?
Absolutely, and in no uncertain words. At the outset, the recommendation of the collegium, and if you see the recommendation of Mr. Saurabh Kripal, it is pending for the last 5 years.
That's right.
From the Delhi High Court recommendation, then again, once again, November 2021, and now it has come. And what is the objection of the government about his orientation, sexual orientation? Is that what a criteria that decides who's a good judge or not a good judge? Is it the caliber, is it the integrity, is it the years of experience and wisdom that really matters in the appointment of judges? And I think that is the most important thing that the government is missing out. With an intent, and I have, with a lot of responsibility, I make this statement, that with an intent to interfere in the judiciary, the government is coming out with some of the excuses which are not only very lame, but they are absolutely untenable even otherwise.
Okay.
And that is why the collegium, I think it's a brilliant way that they have responded to it by all the objections that they have taken with regards to Mr. Kripal or with regards to Mr. Somashekhar of what their contentions are. And if you ask any person, forget, you don't need a lawyer to tell that these are the most bizarre objections that have been taken.
Okay,
some
what are your thoughts,
circulated, some things
if
which are there.
I'm looking at various, points that have been put out. Sakya Sen and Amitesh Banerjee and others. It actually looks like that the objections really do not hold. I mean, what kind of point is it that he is being seen as highly biased, opinionated person? Is that really an issue if you are made a Supreme Court judge or a High Court judge? Because you are opinionated and that is the reason why you should not be considered?
Maria, if you go by the Constitution, Article 217 is very clear. Either you've been in a judicial officer for 10 years or you've been a good advocate in practicing, of repute in the High Court. So nowhere does it say your orientation or whether you've tweeted somewhere or you've written an article. So when you're fulfilling the parameters and it's the collegium which is decided, the government has no business to interfere. And IB, we know, are officers sitting over there.
We'll try and connect with Abha Singh in just a bit. Okay, Abha, please go ahead.
So my issue is the judiciary has to be independent. Government interference cannot be there come what may, because the basic structure of the Constitution depends on an independent judiciary. These are all flimsy grounds. Somasundar Sekhar has been a brilliant lawyer in Bombay High Court. He was a journalist for a short while. We've seen him evolve, and I think he would be an asset to Bombay High Court. So all these people who are legal luminaries have a right to be there, and I think government should get the message that the present CJI is not going to budge.
Okay, and is this how you see it, Rekha? Because if you look at the points of reconsideration that has seen the back and forth between the government and the collegium, actually talks about why the collegium was backing a particular lawyer for elevation and the government's reasons for objecting regarding the same. And in case of Somashekhar Sundaresan, who Abha Singh says that he is a very respectable, he's going to be a respectable judge because he has great experience. Just look at the difference of opinion. It is being said by the collegium that he has honesty, integrity, legal soundness, and I think that is a great qualification to have, ability and endurance. And on the government's objection is highly opinionated person and selectively critical on the social media on the important policies and initiatives and directions of the government, and has ideological leanings.
I think in both the cases, it is a big embarrassment to the government. And I'm very happy. In fact, I'm really very glad to know that the present CJI has been so open and so transparent, about this entire issue, having made public the reasons the government has given for ticking off the names of two very, very capable lawyers who deserve to be elevated long back. I think that talking first about Mr. Saurabh Kripal, this case has been pending for the last 5 years.
Yes.
And it is shocking that in our country, where Article 377 has already been set aside, it has been decriminalized, then yet the government can, raise this objection in his case. Both the issues that were raised were absolutely untenable, and it is, in a constitutional framework. I think that these reasons do not stand water at all. The one that he's very open about his,
sexual orientation. Why should it be? Yes. Held against him.
Why should he be going inside? Why should he be hiding in the closet? In fact, that was the entire purpose of decriminalizing 377 as being unconstitutional. So once that has been, that reason just cannot be accepted at any cost. Second reason, that his partner is a Swiss national. The RAW has already analyzed that entire issue, that whether that could be a security threat, etc. And that issue has also been given a clean chit. So once those two issues, the government is very well aware. I wonder who advises the government to, give such kind of opinions in the first place, which on the face of it, prima facie, are absolutely untenable in the eyes of law. In India, we are governed by the Constitution. That is supreme. So both these arguments that have been given by the government, I'm very happy that, our present CGI has made them public. And even if now the government doesn't realize, and so
what will it do now? I mean, how are you seeing, Mrilani, how this entire issue will pan out now?
It's a big face-off. This is going to be a very big face-off between the government and the judiciary.
Yes. Go ahead.
I think more than the face-off, I think the government should understand the independence of judiciary. There is a system which is in place for the selection of the judges, and which is based on the different criteria, as my friend Abha has already stated, as mentioned. The point over here is that the idea of the government to control the judiciary is something which, I think any citizen will object to it. It's an independent body deciding what thing. That has nothing to do with your opinions. Again, tomorrow you'll call them, they're seditious in nature. I don't know to what extent they will go. Today you are entitled. Now, does it mean that if I am a woman, then I am going to be biased if I am elevated to the bench and I am going to be pro-women? A judge is a judge. A judge has no gender. A judge has no such orientation.
Yes.
A judge is a constitutional which decides the matters based on the facts and the law and the constitution. Now, how does these personal things come into in the way unless they are harmful to the integrity of the nation or to the institution that we are talking about?
Now that all the objections are there in the public domain, it clearly looks like that the judiciary has made up its mind that the collegium system they think is the best system, and that they feel that it has all the ingredients to ensure that they make the best lawyers the judges in terms of elevation that happens in the high courts and also in the Supreme Court, and hence there should be no interference. I think this is a point which is sending a clear message to the government that they cannot push the manner in which they are doing.
Mariaji, I guess I have 3 points here. See, when someone on your show says that a biased opinion about anything XYZ have no role for the appointment of a judge in a constitutional court, I don't think that holds a value. You need to have an independent, unbiased opinion to be appointed as a constitutional court judge. So that is point number 1. Point number 2, when you say that collegium is the best thing because Supreme Court has decided that, I again disagree, because the constitution drafted by under the supervision of Baba Sahab Ambedkar, that Dr. Ambedkar clearly stated that we cannot give this liberty to the Supreme Court judge to appoint the judges of Supreme Court and High Court. And point number 3,
let the Supreme Court and the judges decide how they want to appoint.
No, you need to hear me.
No, I mean the entire premise, and if you look at the objections to say that a particular person has sexual orientation, is that a reason strong enough? Not really. And particularly when you say that it has already been decriminalized in India. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Abha Singh, Rekha Agarwal, Shashank Shekhar and Ms. Deshmukh. We are slipping into a short break. Lots more news and updates on the other side.
बजरंग पूनिया और साक्षी मलिक 3-4 आदमी हैं। आपके नजरिए में वो जरा सा आदमी है, साधारण आदमी है? क्या कह रहे हैं?
स्पोर्ट्समैन है, आज अच्छे नहीं सुनिए, आज अच्छे स्पोर्ट्समैन है, मैं भी बोलता हूँ
जी
लेकिन ये थोड़ी है कि आप भाई जब तक इंक्वायरी ना हो, जब तक कोई जांच ना हो, जब तक जांच करानी पड़ेगी।
यही कह रहे हैं कि जांच होना चाहिए, लेकिन जांच तभी हो पाएगी जब ब्रिजभूषण सिंह, एंड आई वांट जी राजारामन विकृष्ण स्वामी आल्सो टू weigh in on this. There is no way you can have an independent, unbiased investigation against Brijbhushan Singh and the coaches as long as the people who are accused of that are still sitting in positions of power. It's as simple as that. You have to step down pending inquiry. Of course, nobody is prejudging the outcome. Let the police go into the heart of the matter and come to a conclusion one way or the other. But I'm convinced that you can't have that person sitting in a position of authority and have an independent inquiry. It can't be possible.
Zaka, what you're saying is right. If the Wrestling Federation of India is conducting an inquiry, then the Wrestling Federation of India president perhaps need to step aside. But if the inquiry is being done by the sports ministry or even by
the police,
for example, or the National Commission of Women, then maybe he can continue where he is and he's not going to influence the witnesses. I think it's important for us to understand that who is going to conduct the inquiry. The sports ministry has asked for a response from the Wrestling Federation of India.
Yep.
And I really believe that the wrestlers must move courts of law, they must move the police, they must move the National Commission of Women, and then perhaps we can talk about how the president needs to step aside so that there is a sense of fair play and justice that comes in when a hearing happens.
No, I want to ask V. Krishnaswamy. So, one of the things that Bajrang Punia today said in his press conference is, just by this gentleman Brijbhushan Singh stepping down, you are not going to rid his power or his influence on the federation. He's just going to fill it up with a proxy. Now, they are saying the entire WFI needs to be dissolved. An entirely new management, an entirely new federation should come in its place, which does not have Brijbhushan Singh's influence or control. Do you buy that?
No, I really don't buy that. I mean, you can't say that there is just, if there is just one bad apple, you can't throw away the entire basket. I mean, you just can't get rid of that. I'm sure if India has produced some good wrestling results over the past few years, it's also because there are some good coaches, there are some good officials. I'm sure about that.
योगेश्वर जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए. पूरा देश देख रहा है कैसे पिछले 2 दिनों से हमारे जो रेसलर्स हैं वो सड़क पे बैठे हैं, प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं. वो कह रहे हैं, आज उनका प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस भी हुआ था, उनका मानना ये है कि सिर्फ बृजभूषण सिंह जो अध्यक्ष हैं उनके जाने से या उनके इस्तीफा से मामला सुलझेगा नहीं. उनको ये चाहिए कि पूरा जो WFI है वो भंग किया जाए.
देखिए, मेरे को ये लगता नहीं है कि ये बात पूरे देश की जो बॉडी है ये भंग होगी, क्योंकि स्पोर्ट्स कोड में इसका ऐसा कुछ भी प्रावधान नहीं है. हाँ, जो इनकी असली जो मांग है, जो खिलाड़ियों की जो आरोप लगाया है यौन शोषण का, उस पे सरकार को जो ध्यान देना चाहिए, उसकी जरूर जांच होनी चाहिए. जो चीजें हैं जो खिलाड़ी जहाँ से परेशान है उस पे काम होना चाहिए. जो इनकी दिक्कतें हैं वो है. और मेरे को लगता है कि पूरी बॉडी, पूरे देश की जो स्टेट बॉडी है वो ऐसे खत्म करना, ये शायद कहीं भी प्रावधान में ये चीजें नहीं लिखी है. और ज्यादा मेरे को पता नहीं, पर जहाँ तक मेरे को लगता है, हाँ, जो चीजें जो मांगे हैं, जो डिमांड है, जो पहलवानों की जो चीजें हैं कि भाई उन पे यौन शोषण हुआ है, तो उस पे सरकार को जरूर संज्ञान लेना चाहिए.
योगेश्वर जी, सबसे जो महत्वपूर्ण आरोप उन्होंने लगाए हैं कि वो है यौन शोषण का, सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट का. ये तो क्रिमिनल है, इसके लिए कंप्लेंट होनी चाहिए, उसके बाद FIR होनी चाहिए. विनेश फोगाट ने आज ये भी बोला कि कल तक तो 2-3 लड़कियां थी जो उन्होंने जो आरोप लगाए हैं. आज 5 से 6 महाराष्ट्र से, उत्तर प्रदेश से, हरियाणा से, बाकी जगहों से 5 से 6 लड़कियां ऐसे हैं जो उनके संपर्क में हैं जिन्होंने ये आरोप लगाया है. तो आपको लगता है कि तुरंत इस पे FIR होनी चाहिए और पुलिस की कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए?
इसके कानून के सभी कानून का एक कानून बना हुआ है, एक लॉ बना हुआ है हमारी, कि उसके दायरे में रह के हम क्या काम कर सकते हैं, कानून से बाहर रह के हम क्या काम कर सकते हैं. सरकार भी बस एक यही कर सकती है इसमें कि इसकी निष्पक्ष जांच हो, चाहे वो जांच किसी से हो, चाहे CBI से जांच हो. पर जो हम आरोप लगाए हैं, जो अगर जब तक कुछ FIR दर्ज नहीं होगी तब तक मेरे को लगता नहीं ये चीजें होंगी. जब तक कोई सामने आके ये चीजें नहीं बोलेगा, कोई विक्टिम तो इस चीज में होना बड़ा जरूरी है, क्योंकि उसके अलग तो ऐसे तो बीच में कोई ऐसी बात
Reliance Industries chairman and managing director Mukesh Ambani's son Anand has been engaged to Radhika Merchant in a star-studded ceremony in Mumbai. The ceremony, which is called a Goldhana, is being held at the Ambani's residence antenna. Several celebrities including Aishwarya Rai Bachchan, Karan Johar, Akshay Kumar, Sachin Tendulkar, Sara Ali Khan, Varun Dhawan, Shah Rukh Khan, and all of them are present to celebrate the special occasion. Shilpa Ratnam is joining me live from Antillia. Shilpa, this is a big moment for the family, and we are seeing the presence of who's who of the industry.
Well, yes, indeed. The last of the Ambani children have been married off. Anant Ambani was the youngest, and now he has been engaged. Correction there, to Radhika Merchant. In fact, they just came out for a family photo opportunity as well earlier this evening. And now we find out that this ring ceremony also just recently concluded, and a performance with Shreya Ghoshal followed shortly thereafter with all her top songs. And we had the rich and the famous of the city in attendance. We had close friends of the Ambanis, such as the Bachchans. Aishwarya Rai Bachchan along with daughter Aradhya Bachchan was there. We also had Ranveer Singh and Deepika Padukone, who made an entry just a short while ago, Katrina Kaif as well. And earlier this evening there was also a Ganpati Puja which took place, and the entire family also took part in a song and dance, and there were also many speeches and toasts made to the newly engaged couple. And this was of course in contrast to the intimate family roka that they had, which was only attended by close family members. This was a grand affair at Antillia, the iconic home of the Ambanis here in Mumbai, and in fact the party is still currently on.
All right, Shilpa, thank you so much for getting us those visuals and the update of the grand ring ceremony which has happened today. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching.
पड़ेगा। आरोप तो आपके खिलाफ नहीं है, मेरे खिलाफ नहीं है, आरोप तो उनके खिलाफ है। तो नैतिक तौर पे तो जिम्मेदारी बनती है ना उनकी।
क्या आरोप है?
यौन शोषण की आरोप है।
कौन आरोप कौन बता रहा है?
करप्शन की आरोप है, भ्रष्टाचार की आरोप है।
ये तीन चार ओलंपियन मैं भी लेके बैठ जाऊं, मैं भी आरोप लगाने लगूं, मानेगा?
क्या बात कर रहे हैं जयप्रकाश जी? मतलब देश देख रहा है, सुन रहा है, आप क्या बोल रहे हैं?
बताइए मुझे एक ही बात
नहीं, आप थोड़ा मतलब ध्यान से बोलिए क्या बोलना चाह रहे हैं। ठीक है, आप ये कह सकते हैं कि ये आरोप तो नहीं FIR होनी चाहिए, कोर्ट में जानी चाहिए, ये सब ठीक है, मैं मान सकता हूँ, लेकिन ये तो मत कहिए कि 3-4 आदमी के साथ बैठ जाओ और मैं भी बोल दूं कि क्या सच हो जाएगा। क्या विनेश फोगाट, बजरंग पूनिया और साक्षी मलिक 3-4 आदमी हैं? आपके नजरिए में वो जरा सा आदमी है, साधारण आदमी है? क्या कह रहे हैं?
स्पोर्ट्समैन है आज, अच्छे नहीं सुनिए, आज अच्छे स्पोर्ट्समैन है, मैं भी बोलता हूँ। लेकिन ये थोड़ी है कि आप जब तक इंक्वायरी ना हो, जब तक कोई जांच ना हो, जब तक जांच करानी पड़ेगी।
यही कह रहे हैं कि जांच होना चाहिए, लेकिन जांच तभी हो पाएगी जब ब्रिजभूषण सिंह, and I want G. Radharaman, Vikrishna Swamy also to weigh in on this. There is no way you can have an independent, unbiased investigation against Brijbhushan Singh and the coaches as long as the people who are accused of that are still sitting in positions of power. It's as simple as that. You have to step down pending inquiry. Of course, nobody is prejudging the outcome. Let the police go into the heart of the matter and come to a conclusion one way or the other. But I'm convinced that you can't